So, fellas, let's talk about the gridiron. Aaron Rodgers. What's y'all thoughts about him missing a mandatory minicamp? Because Champ and I, we've been going back and forth on the phone, man. I thought this was supposed to be the perfect ideal situation for Aaron Rodgers. He's no longer with Green Bay. He's in New York. He loves it there. He loves the market there. I mean, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, we know him more than just a football player. We know for other things outside of football. Aaron Rodgers last year coming off the ruptured Achilles, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. I think this is a bad look, champ, and BRF for him to be missing mandatory minicamp. And the reason why it's a bad look is because he's becoming more and more like his predecessor, Brett Favre. Remember how Brett Favre, how he acted his last couple of years in Green Bay, where he couldn't make up his mind whether he wanted to play or retire. And then remember when Aaron Rodgers was there, he's like, it's not my job to like help him or mentor him. And I think with Aaron, you're 40 years old. You're coming off a ruptured Achilles. You are historically one of the greatest quarterbacks in history. I have him top five. You you're in a new season in New York. The expectations for you is to not only make the playoffs but to compete in the AFC. They want to see you go up against Patrick Mahomes, CJ Stroud, Lamar Jackson. And the fact that you are missing mandatory minicamp, I think that is counterproductive because again, you should be spending as much time as you can to build some chemistry or camaraderie with the players, including the newer players, whether from draft or free agency. And I just think this is a terrible look for Aaron Rodgers. And I think that the pressure is going to be on him for him to step up. And Green Bay, they are looking more than good because they have Jordan Love, who's 25 years old. He'll be 26, I think, in September. They have a future with this young guy who I've said will be in the discussion for the MVP. I do believe Jordan Love will be in the discussion for the MVP. I do see him making the Pro Bowl this season. Green Bay has won this one because they finally moved on from Aaron Rodgers. Regardless of his greatness, regardless of what he's done in Green Bay, they have something to look forward to now with Love. Green Bay is one of the teams to compete in the NFC. All this talk about Philadelphia, rightfully so. San Francisco, rightfully so. Detroit, rightfully so. Let's not count out Green Bay. And with their young roster, assuming if Christian Watson can stay healthy. Now you got Josh Jacobs. Although I hate to see Aaron Jones gone and now he's in Minnesota, but Josh Jacobs still. And with Jordan Love at the quarterback and with Matt LaFleur, who has proven he's a good enough head coach as far as with a play caller, I think Green Bay could actually can make some noise. And I think for Aaron, this is a really bad look, man. And I think it just goes to show you that you can't win with someone like him. And when I was watching Tom Brady, when on the Patriots Hall of Fame induction of him, rightfully so, happy for him. Tom Brady talks about how much it takes, the sacrifices, the amount of work to put in. And I just don't know what Aaron, and I just don't think Aaron Rodgers is willing to sacrifice for the team. And I can't blame Green. I can't feel sorry for New York because they knew exactly what they signed themselves into by getting Aaron Rodgers. I think this is a bad look right here, and I'm reading an article from CNN's. I think it's from. I just want to make sure by Ben Morse of CNN. According to Spotrac, Rodgers' 2024 cap hit will be just over $17 million dollars, with over $3 million dollars base salary, a $7 million dollars signing bonus, and a $7 million dollars play option. And according to the NFL CBA, which is the collective bargaining agreement, players who miss the first day of mandatory minicamp with an unexcused reason can be subjected to nearly a $17,000 fine. Missing a second day comes with nearly $34,000 fine, for the second day fine and over $50,000, $50,855 for a third day. So, what are your thoughts about Aaron Rodgers? Is this who he is as far as a leader, as a teammate? And can they win a championship, New York, with him as the guy? In my opinion, I just don't see at this point. Given the injury that he's coming off from and what he's doing right now, I just think it's counterproductive. So, whoever wants to go first.
With Aaron Rodgers, people often compared him to Tom Brady during this era. And the difference between him and Tom Brady was this. Tom Brady was willing to do things for his team and his teammates that nobody else was willing to do. And the thing is, if you really want to look at the biggest difference, Tom Brady was the quarterback and everybody knew who he was, but he was also one of the guys. He knew the guys on the practice squad. He knew the guys in the equipment rooms. He knew the guys that were last on the depth chart at wide receiver. He knew the fifth wide receiver. He had chemistry with all of his guys. And that's the biggest difference between him and Aaron Rodgers. There's an old saying, be careful who you judge because you have a bad habit of becoming what you despise. I'll say that again, be careful who you judge because you have a bad habit of coming with what you despise. And right now, remember how badly, they he used to talk about, he never used to talk about Brett Favre, but everybody remembers the innuendos and things of that nature. But the thing is, you ended up becoming what you despise. And ironically, you get traded to the Jets. Ironically, you get traded to the Jets. The thing is this, I don't think that Aaron Rodgers understands the magnitude of possibly winning a Super Bowl with the Jets. This is a franchise that has never won an AFC championship. Never. They haven't won a Super Bowl since Joe Namath. Hell, they haven't even had a true franchise quarterback since Joe Namath. So I don't think he understands the significance of winning in New York for a team like the New York Jets. I don't think he understands. I don't think he understands how much this would add to his legacy. Becoming one of the few quarterbacks that won with two different teams. I don't think he understands that. And I don't think he understands the talent pool that you have here. You have some of the most, this is the best talent. You have a hell of a defense. You have offensive weapons galore. They went out there and they got you offensive line and Tyron Smith and Olu Fashanu. You have Breece Hall. You have a cornucopia of things going in your favor. Why would you ruin that by not showing up to training camp? Out of every quarterback that we say had the most to lose, Aaron Rodgers is right up there. Can you win outside the structure of Green Bay? Are you really as flaky as people say you are? Because if you remember correctly, there was a lot of comparison between him and Kyrie.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID. But look what Kyrie is doing now versus Aaron Rodgers, still doing the same things that he was doing in Green Bay. Still going, to the point now where you can't go on your homeboy show, Pat McAfee's show. Always criticizing other people because of certain things they may or may not have did as far as during the pandemic was concerned. Talking about people who don't even pay you any mind and Travis Kelce. So the thing is this. When you look at Kyrie and what transpired in his career during the COVID years, 2020 to 2023, he has came out and redeemed himself in a lot of aspects of the game, to the point where they was calling him and his new teammate Luka Doncic one of the best backcourts, the most talented backcourts in NBA history. What have you done to redeem yourself, to improve your reputation, other than being in the media? You're all in the media while you're injured. If this was any other quarterback, would he be getting a pass for that? If Lamar Jackson was hurt and he was still going on Pat McAfee's show talking about Jimmy Kimmel and Travis Kelce, would he get a pass for that? Probably not. Would Josh Allen get a pass for that? Probably not. Would Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes? Probably not. So he gets passes where it's not warranted. You should be with your teammates giving them encouragement, not all over the media throwing dirt on people's names when you should be focused on getting another Super Bowl. And one has to ask themselves this: is this really about you going to a new team, or your failure to want to change partners rather than change yourself? Because it's kind of like a relationship. Some people are so focused and headstrong in their mind and so much of legends in their own mind that they'd rather change partners than to change themselves. You have the model franchise in Green Bay, the model franchise. It's called Title Town for a reason. You give all of that up to go to New York, rightfully so. Hey, you still feel you can play a few more years. But when you get there, what do you do when you get there? You're still doing the same things that you did when you were in Green Bay. Still flaky, still talking out of turn in the media, still out here just wild. Now you're not showing up to mandatory camp when these rookies, some of these young players need your mentorship. Not just the backup quarterbacks. And I think people need to understand that. You need to build chemistry with these receivers, with these running backs. Fill out how good your offensive line is so you can feel what's around you. You haven't been with these offensive line for the last 2 to 3 years. You don't have a rapport with Olu Fashanu. You don't have a rapport with Tyron Smith.
Right. And
they just
got
drafted.
in.
Yeah. And not to mention, they just brought in a new receiver in Mike Williams and traded for him. You don't have a rapport with him. So guess what? While you're in the media running your mouth about people in their about certain people in the media, while you're missing training camp, while you're doing all that, you're falling behind. You really think you're ahead of everybody, but everybody's really telling you to catch up. Because the thing is this: there's no guarantee with all of this talent you're going to win that division.
Yeah.
Josh Allen and that Buffalo Bills team has revamped. Tua's still in that division, and they have a hell of a team. They have a hell of an offensive onslaught. Not to mention, if you look down south in the AFC South, there's some dogs at quarterback down there. When you think about C.J. Stroud, when you think about Will Levis, when you think about what's the other quarterback name?
Anthony Richardson.
When you think about Anthony Richardson, these young quarterbacks are hungry. These guys are hungry. So this is not a division where you just have a free path to the. No, you got to go through some dogs. So that's the biggest difference between, and that will forever be the difference between him and Tom Brady. You didn't hear Tom Brady talking crap in the media about other people, talking about comedians and late night talk show hosts and Jimmy Kimmel and all of that. His sole purpose was to win Super Bowls. He took pay cuts. You never heard about Tom Brady all in the media. The most you ever heard about him being in the media was when those scandals happened with Spygate and Deflategate. That was it. And even then, that was related to football.
Right.
But for you to be all the time in the media in things unrelated to football, missing out on training camps, you had to ask yourself, if he was any other quarterback, would he be getting away with it? If Josh Allen would did that, it'd be all over the news right now. Call it like we see it. Because the thing is, you're supposed to be an all-time great mentor in these young talents. And I'm surprised the Jets didn't see the writing on the wall this year and go for a Spencer Rattler in the 5th round. You saw how he acted in Green Bay. So you couldn't see the writing on the wall, and you got to take into consideration his age. You couldn't see the writing on the wall and say, hey, let's bring in a Spencer Rattler, a gunslinger, just in case he goes out, just in case he starts acting a fool again. So the thing is, man, look, Aaron Rodgers, get into camp, get with these young guys, because you have a chance to do something that hasn't happened in New York since Joe Namath, since the I Guarantee You game. And you have the chance to do something special that only I think Tom Brady has done, and that's win 2 Super Bowls, that's win a Super Bowl with 2 different teams. And to win in a place as special as New York, on the New York Jets, that has been a snake-bitten franchise for years to come, will be something special. And you're not only ruining it for yourself, you're ruining it for all of these young players that they have brought in to accompany you on this journey. So you not showing up to camp is not only a slap in the face to that organization, it's a slap in the face to these young players who are depending on you. So do the right thing.
BRF.
Yes, sir. I mean, the problem with the whole situation is I don't think Aaron Rodgers really cares. He feels like at the end of the day, he probably feels like he's back from the injury. He just feels like he's gonna go out there and slinging and do what he does. But I mean, I it doesn't surprise me a team like the Jets would kind of give him this leeway because would it surprise me if they didn't find him at all just for the simple fact he's Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely not. It wouldn't surprise me at all. These are the New York Jets we're talking about. They're not exactly the smartest organization in the National Football League, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. But it's not. They actually had a decent offseason. You go get a Tyron Smith. You go draft arguably the best offensive tackle in the draft in Olaf Fashanu. You still have Brees Hall behind you. You have Garrett Wilson on one side. You go out and acquire a Mike Williams from the LA Chargers. You go out and you get him, and then you got all these dogs on defense. You got Sauce Gardner, who's arguably the best corner in football. You got depth galore on the defensive line, and particularly your pass rush. I mean, the stars are kind of aligning for the New York Jets to do something this year. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, okay, I'm a veteran. I get it. You know, I have an established name in this sport. Why not go out there? Just get out there, introduce yourself to the guys, kind of build a little chemistry there, show them that you're in this for the right reasons, and not just because you knew the Jets were going to pay you because they were desperate for a quarterback. Show that you're here for the right thing. Show that you actually want to lead these boys and come out here and try to win the division. Because even though you do have Buffalo, you do have Miami, the division is winnable. It's winnable for you. I mean, you're not fearing Buffalo maybe like you have the past couple of years. You're definitely not fearing Miami because for all the offense in the world, the defense is mid. So you're not scared of Miami. So I mean, you actually have a shot to do something because you might be the most balanced team in that division when you consider the offensive talent you have and that defense you're bringing back from last year. So I don't, I don't like it. I don't like it myself either. Just for the standpoint that if this man goes out, wins a Super Bowl championship for the New York Jets, he's immortalized. He's forever when it comes to that city. That city would treat him like a god from now until the day he died if he won a championship for the New York Jets. But he's doing it to himself by not going. I mean, he's hurting opportunity to build rapport. He's hurting an opportunity to really get out there and see what these guys can do. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you can't sit here and tell me fans out there, Aaron Rodgers with a young beast like a Garrett Wilson. Can't nobody tell me you don't want to see that connection on Sundays. I mean, that's one of the exciting combos I've been wanting to see since he went to the Jets, and I hated I didn't get to see it last year because his season lasted all a good 3-4 minutes. So I just I just feel like he should have. I understand you're a veteran. You know what I'm saying? When some veteran, a lot of veterans kind of, they have a little say so they can get away with stuff. I feel like he could have really cemented himself for his teammates, for the for the entire organization, for the fans in New York. If he had gone out to this mini camp and really kind of helped set the tone as I mean, say for what it's worth, Aaron Rodgers right now is the face of this franchise. If he comes up there and he sets a tone early, you get everybody in line, you get everybody fired up early, and who knows where it goes. But with this going on, I mean, this does them no good. I feel like New York is a team that can get into the playoffs this year with what they have, but I mean, you got to get there and you got to start working with your guys in order to get it done. So hopefully he doesn't take a whole bunch of time off. He gets up there and kind of builds some chemistry with these guys. But does it surprise me because Aaron Rodgers? To be honest, absolutely not. It doesn't surprise me at all. But we'll just see where it goes from here. I just hope he gets out there and understands the talent that he does have with the Jets, but the pressure he's about to face. So he needs to go out there and kind of change, change some impressions about how people feel about him. Get out to that camp and lead by example and not just going on Pat McAfee's show and spitting all types of garbage just because it's good for clicks. You know what I mean? So get out to the camp and work with these boys and show them why a lot of these guys grew up wanting to play with you, just loving you as a quarterback. Do better. That's just how I feel.
I'm reading the comment here. Appreciate my boy Aquarius Williams. Rogers wanted the team to get rid of distractions, but keeps being the biggest distraction for the team. Very hypocritical. Our boy Grant in the building. He's saying Boston is getting cooked. Don't worry about that, Grant. You'll be fine in Game 5. But more on Aaron Rodgers. I think, look, at the end of the day, man, this is bad on the part of Aaron Rodgers. He's just becoming more in what he is. And champ, Greg Jennings, Jermichael Finley, Donald Driver, they've been outspoken against Aaron Rodgers. And they were ignored because of course it's Aaron Rodgers. But now seeing what you're seeing with Aaron Rodgers over the years, perhaps what they said about Aaron Rodgers was true, and we have to give them the respect and credence they deserve because they've played with him. They've seen him in the locker room. They see how the way he is during practices or OTAs, training camps, mini camps, how they played with him. And when I look at Aaron, man, it's just a really bad look, and it hurts the younger players. And I think the Jets right now, if they had a competent young quarterback, whether in the draft or in free agency, a draft or whoever, they could compete. Heck, if you put Russell Wilson with the Jets, I think they would actually compete. If you give Russ a short 1 year deal, the exact contract like with the Steelers, you don't think Russell Wilson could actually do something? Not saying that Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, but with Aaron, man, it seems like you just loving the celebrity because of course it is New York. Because of course I've seen you on podcasts, I've seen you with interviews with Tucker Carlson, I've seen you with a lot of other things that you've been doing, man, and that's fine. But you're not paying attention to the ultimate goal, which is winning a championship. We don't know how long since the last time the New York Jets have won a Super Bowl, or even before the Super Bowl era. And when Aaron, it just really looks bad, man. You have an embarrassment of riches. As y'all mentioned, Brees Hall, Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, the offensive linemen. You're taking time off for an unexcused, let me repeat, an unexcused reason. Now, if he was dealing with personal problems, mental health problems, all of us, I think I can speak on behalf of all of us. If he's dealing with something mentally or physically, hey, we totally understand.
Yes.
But if it's for an inexcused reason, I don't understand. And plus, you haven't played. The last time we saw you play was the season opener last year, in which you were hurt, and
Hmm.
you're 40 years old, coming off a ruptured Achilles. Are you sure you're gonna be the same old Aaron Rodgers? Are you sure you're still gonna be that type of quarterback? This is on the Jets because they knew exactly what they were getting themselves into. For them to, if they claim that they didn't, then that I'm calling that baloney or bull because they knew exactly what they were getting themselves into with Aaron Rodgers. Moving forward, they're gonna have to get a quarterback in the draft. Somebody who is young, who can sit and learn as much as they can. But for Aaron to take the position that he's taking, again, this is an inexcused reason. It says here, I mean, I'm just reading it like right here. Aaron and I, this is a comment from Robert Saleh, the head coach of the New York Jets. Aaron and I spoke before OTAs. He's been very good in communication. He's been here the entire time. It's unexcused, but he had an event that was very important to him, which he communicated. And I think with Aaron, man, are you about? It's just telling me it's about him, not about the team. And at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers only cares about Aaron Rodgers. If this were Tom Brady, if this were any other quarterback with Patrick Mahomes, we know that what the type of sacrifices, we know what they're willing to do in order for them to compete. But for Aaron, this looks bad, bro. Considering the expectations and considering what came into consideration. So, fellas, any final words before we move on to another football topic?
Hey, look out for Jordan Travis, the Florida State Seminole in training camp. Look out for him in training camp.
Yeah.
And because he's going to see some time. And, he's a hell of a football player. That Florida State team was on their way to a national championship prior to him getting injured. So look out for him. And Aaron Rodgers, if you really want to look at how to conduct yourself in your last year, look no further than John Elway in his last 2 years with the Denver Broncos. Because if you want to, the organization will give you superstar treatment because it's been documented that John Elway was the only player that didn't have to do tour days at Denver Broncos camps. You see him the first practice, then he's gone for the rest of the day. So if you want that superstar treatment, of course, they'll oblige it to you. We've seen it obliged to many players. We saw it obliged to John Elway during his last 2 years in Denver. You see him go to one of the days during the last 2 years of that back-to-back championship run, where you see him at one practice per day, in the morning meetings, and then you didn't see him during the evening practices. So if you want the superstar treatment, people will more than likely give it to you because hell, quiet as it's kept, well, loud as it's bitching, you're Aaron Rodgers. Of course, they don't want to use you up throughout training camp and push the limits of that Achilles. I wouldn't want to either if I'm the franchise. So if you want some superstar treatment, come to us and we'll oblige you. Like I said, we've seen it before. But the thing is to come and not have an excused absence when these young players are looking to you. These young players are looking to you, and all of them are talented. You talk about rookie. People talk about the Chicago Bears, and that's no better place for a rookie to be in. Look at what Aaron Rodgers went into. You didn't walk into a situation like a Russell Wilson did where you had to be the savior. They had talent there. They had a hell of a defense. They had defensive players galore. They had hell of a offensive players. Now you have a hell of a stable offensive line. You had a coach you have a hell of a coach that came from a winning culture in the San Francisco 49ers up under Kyle Shanahan. So everything is there for you to shine, but are you willing to take the step for it to happen? That's all I got.
Well said, brother.